Agriculture. I've been out working on the garden this morning. And right here I had put in a little bit of carrots and spinach. And all the rest of this I was going to succession plant. I haven't done anything with it. All these weeds popped up in my new bed. I'm going to put hay in here, old hay, and choke it all out. Rather than using tarps, I'm just going to use hay. I'm going to fill these little ditches with hay and then choke out all the weeds on the top. Excuse me, and I'm going to put in winter, summer crops. Oh, gee. Put in summer crops on all this part of the on this part of the food forest. Just have a few trees, a few bushes, not a whole lot coming up. So I have room for crops. This is the dry part of the garden. So I'm trying to address the water by cutting ditches off the driveway, bringing the water in a little higher than it all just running down into the bottom, going out. So I'm going to try to moisten these beds, and this part here stays pretty wet, but starting with those little low tunnels on up, it's pretty dry as opposed to the rest of the garden. So this will bring me a lot of nitrogen as I choke this out with the hay. The manure that's in with the hay will bring me nitrogen. It's not a lot of manure, it's not heavy manure, just a little bit. So this should be pretty good for, I'm going to do solid stem squash, like because I get so many pests. The squash vine borer. So you do solid vines, Trombocino squash if I have seed. I'm not sure if I have any left. And butternut and that kind of thing. And I might, I don't know, corns and sunflowers, probably put it in here. Might try to get a little bit of cucumber in with the sunflower just to see before it gets eaten what we can get. But I have these two beds, and up there past the low tunnels, that's where I'm going to put my peppers and tomatoes. I have some that overwintered, I have some that are new seedlings, so on and so forth. We're going to have several 40-degree nights here. This is early May, so I'm waiting till we get past those 40s. Generally after Mother's Day, you know, as old wisdom goes, it's a good time to start with your tomatoes here. Just, you can start earlier, but you might lose them, or you get them stunted by cold. That cold can prevent them from being the plant that they could be. So it's better to wait till it's really good. And I'll definitely put green beans in here as well, among the squash. As my chickweeds dine out, I'm going to clean out these tunnels and just see what else I can get out of there. Various brassicas in there and so forth. Kind of hiding. I do have a lot of carrots in there, so I'm hoping to get a good carrot harvest. They've just been kind of sitting underneath all that, waiting for their chance to shine. And that day's coming. Hopefully I have carrots under all that. You can see my cilantro is really going to seed up here, but I don't mind having a little coriander. So I'm going to be working on this today. I'm going to be moving some of that hay, getting ready for my tomatoes and peppers. This part of the aisle is going to get hayed here. I have weeded all of these beds where I had put a number of things: spinach, cilantro, carrots, onion. I think I put brassica in there, but I didn't get anything. I also have a volunteer lamb's quarter coming up, so I didn't weed that out. I'm going to wait till it gets like 8-10 inches tall. I'm going to cut it and eat it. And if it comes back again, fine. That yellow dock, not something I want. It's going to seed. I'm going to chop it with a shovel and just leave it there. And then I'm just going to hay all this in, just to capture all that nitrogen underneath that hay and just all that material. And as it breaks down slower, it won't oxidize so fast. I'll get more nutrition out of it for my soil. There's some corn poppies there. I'll probably just leave those. I just think they're pretty. I don't think they're much use. I think you might be able to use them for edibles. I'm not going to touch the comfrey over there. So I already started chopping a little bit, so I thought I would just share my project. I'm going to use this hay first. I'm going to put some panels across this part of the garden up here, and I'm going to let the cows come in and clean this up. Then I'm going to till it. Unfortunately, I have a lot of that poly netting in there. It's going to be pain. I'll get them to clean up this part of the garden, and then I'll till it and use it. It's already fenced in. It's up here at the top, so something dry like sunflowers probably put in up here. Need to get those in pretty quick. I want to fill this whole garden up inside. Then I'm going to start on the outside of the fence. with another section for more of my staple crops. I'm going to chop all the dock, like I said. Then I'm going to start just smothering out almost all of this. I will keep that red vein sorrel there. There's a couple of them. There might be a few more hiding in there, little ones. We'll see. I won't choke those out. But then I'll poke holes in my mulch. I'm going to put some eggs underneath, old eggs that I've been saving. And then I'll put tomatoes in, so that'll help with the blossom end rot. We also have just powdered eggs, dried shells that I'll put in there. Just try to help the tomatoes a little bit. So I'll put the peppers on the back side and the tomatoes on the front side. Tomatoes like a little more water. The peppers are pretty tough. Pretty much can get by on rainfall here. And if they get deep enough rooted, they'll get any of this water that's been held back by these little beds. As far as being dry up here, we're doing okay. Spinach is making it not great. You can see the beds do better further down. They're getting more water. And yeah, I had some chicken damage. That's why I have these bare spots. But like this bed right here is driest. It's the least lush. That other one is just halfway scratched up. So anyway, I'll show you some pictures once I get some hay down and getting ready for my summer crops. I wanted to mention I also have cilantro in these beds. So we'll see if I can get cilantro before it gets too hot. I wanted to show you this. This is obviously the driest part of this whole mound. I had chopped some of my dock and just leaving it lay there. So you can see some water's coming in, and this up here is a little bit wetter than this. This is I can tell by looking at the chickweed where my driest spot is. It's right here. This, within the next month, 2 to 4 weeks, most of my garden will end up with this mat of dead chickweed. And that is great. You can see the vetch, common vetch. It's a legume, and it has those little pods. You can actually eat those. There's not much to them, and you got to get them when they're tender. This one's a little dry. Yeah, it's too far along. But, you know, you can nibble on them. So anyway, even if I did not put my hay down, I'm already going to get this layer of stuff. And I could just proceed with poking my holes in that and then putting whatever crops I wanted to put in. I'm interested in catching at least some of this stuff while it's still green and getting it underneath my mulch, again, for just a little more fertility. This is a good way to tell where your dry spots are, just looking at the vegetation. I just wanted to show you that. But that is the goal throughout my whole garden. If I don't get to a certain bed, I'm going to have that. Within 4 weeks, all of that down through there is all just going to be a mulch. It just died in place, and I just didn't mess with it. Now where I have my strawberries, I needed to get some light on things. I would tear the top growth off. I didn't tear it all out by the roots. Just tore off the top growth, threw it down, and kind of sped that up. So there's different levels of how I manage that chickweed. See, that down there is a nice dry spot, and you can see that's coming on nice. I'm gonna have to put something in. I might put some okra right there, just because I know that okra is a good dry crop. Up here, it's gonna do well. So anyway, I'll be back with you later. All right, we got the hay done. We didn't get all of this, but I will be just dumping some more hay right by this tree here, and then we'll get that part of the garden, all of that. So that was 1 1/4 bales of hay, 4x5s, and we didn't get a whole lot out of it. I did stack it pretty thick. The plan is to put some panels up across here. This is the end of the crops I'm trying to save. So I'll just put a few panels across this, get the cows in here and clean this up, and then I'll till it. I do have a pile of leaf mold in here. We'll have to move it, whatever's left of it. Have to scrape it and see what we've got. But we hayed all that green stuff under and down this aisle. I left the corn poppies, and I left the majority of the comfrey in place for now. But we'll have to cut it back, especially on the left when we go to get the blackberries. Comfrey is pretty much ending the competition for weeds. Got a little dock down to the bottom. I'll chop that. But for the most part, the comfrey's done amazingly well. It's beautiful. This is actually the dry side to the right. And it was kind of more clayish on the back side of the hill here. And I only have a few inches of good dirt on the left, on the little mound there. Not much. But this does hold water pretty well through here. It's fairly level. So we get a good rain. It takes a few days to dry out, sometimes even longer. So This stuff's in a good spot, the comfrey and the blackberries. You can see my wild apricots or wild prunes kind of poking their heads up along here. So we'll see how that goes. But now this is ready for tomatoes and peppers. I may get brave and put some peppers along here to the right. This just does not get much water. I might be able to pile some dirt in the middle of the aisle and like hold it back in little pools. That will help the fertility on both sides of that pond, or little puddles that I put in. Can't bring more hay because the loader is tied up. I'm going to show you what we're facing out there in the woods, out in the forest, from the 70-mile plus straight winds we got from the thunderstorm. Knocked out power for the area for a day, and it did some massive damage to tall trees. The ones that got up above the canopy took a beating. I'll show you that. And when I get the loader freed up, we'll move some more hay. Here's part of the reason the loader is tied up today. We had those straight line winds, and as you look through the forest there, you can see it took out some healthy trees. Problem is one of them is right here. It's an invitation for the goats to get out, and probably the cows too. So we got to take care of that. And we, of course, had to move an old bottle dump, so we wouldn't get flat tires. Here's the other one we're going to be working on. Kind of hard on the fence. Down that way is where we were working yesterday. We already put that fence back up. And then we have more damage. But it's good lumber. Just got to get out there and get to it safely. We're going to get busy chopping that bad boy. Hopefully this loader will help us out a little bit. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to get that thing down at this point, but maybe if I lift up on it enough after I cut it, maybe we'll get it to fall. At any rate, we got to get it off the fence.